The police chief's son smirked at Judge Caprio and said, "My dad runs this town. You can't touch me, old man." What happened next when his father had to choose between protecting his son or honoring a Vietnam veteran would break everyone's heart. Derek Cole, 32 years old, son of Providence Police Chief Thomas Cole, walked into the courtroom like he owned it. Expensive suit, designer watch, that arrogant smirk that made everyone immediately hate him. Behind him walked Marcus Richardson, one of Providence's most expensive defense lawyers, the kind who specializes in getting wealthy clients out of trouble. If you believe in honoring our veterans and holding the powerful accountable, subscribe now. This channel fights for justice that treats everyone equally. 3 days earlier, 70-year-old Robert Martinez was walking his dog in Roger Williams Park when Derek Cole's BMW nearly hit him while speeding. When Martinez raised his hand to signal Derek to slow down, Derek stopped his car, got out, and shoved the elderly veteran to the ground. Martinez's head hit the pavement. 3 broken ribs, fractured wrist, concussion. 2 nights in Rhode Island hospital. When bystanders tried to intervene, Derek said, "Do you know who I am? My father is the police chief. Call the cops. I dare you." Then he drove away, leaving the 70-year-old veteran bleeding on the ground. The incident was captured on security camera. The footage went viral on local news. The entire city of Providence demanded justice. But what nobody in that courtroom knew yet was that Police Chief Thomas Cole was sitting in the back row, wearing civilian clothes, his badge tucked away. He hadn't told his son he was there, and the decision he was about to make would prove that some fathers love their principles more than protecting their children's mistakes. The courtroom was packed. Local reporters, concerned citizens, veteran advocacy groups. Everyone sensed something significant was about to happen. At exactly 10:30 a.m., the bailiff called the case. The state of Rhode Island versus Derek Michael Cole, charged with assault and battery on an elderly person. Derek walked in like he owned the place. When he passed the row where Robert Martinez sat wearing his Vietnam veteran cap, supporting his broken wrist in a cast, Derek didn't even glance at him. No acknowledgement, no remorse, nothing. Judge Caprio looked up from his paperwork. Those kind eyes that had shown compassion to thousands suddenly turned ice cold. He'd already read the case file, already seen the security footage, already made up his mind that this young man was going to learn a lesson today. "Mr. Cole," Judge Caprio began, his voice measured but firm, "you're charged with assault and battery on an elderly person, specifically on Mr. Robert Martinez, a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran. How do you plead?" Derek's attorney stood quickly. "Your Honor, my client pleads not guilty. We believe this is a case of mistaken identity." Judge Caprio held up his hand. "Counselor, I asked your client, not you. Mr. Cole, do you have a voice?" Derek stood up. This is where his arrogance really showed. He adjusted his suit jacket, looked directly at Judge Caprio with that smirk still on his face. "Not guilty, Your Honor. This whole thing is ridiculous." The word ridiculous hung in the air like a slap. Imagine sitting in that courtroom, watching someone call assault on a veteran ridiculous. You would have felt the anger building, the need for justice. Judge Caprio slowly removed his glasses, his signature move when he's about to deliver a reality check. Ridiculous. "Mr. Cole, I've reviewed the security footage. I've read the hospital reports. I've seen the photographs of Mr. Martinez's injuries. Would you like to reconsider your characterization of this case as ridiculous?" Derek glanced at his lawyer, who frantically tried to signal him to stay quiet. But Derek's ego wouldn't let him back down. "Your Honor, with all due respect," Derek said. And everyone in the courtroom knew that when someone starts with all due respect, disrespect is about to follow. "This is being blown out of proportion. Some old guy got in my way. I barely touched him, and now I'm being dragged into court like a criminal." The gallery gasped. Did he just call a Vietnam veteran some old guy? Did he just say he barely touched him when the man spent 2 nights in the hospital? Judge Caprio set down his glasses very carefully. His jaw tightened. This was Judge Caprio when his compassion reached its limit and justice was about to be served. "Mr. Cole," the judge said, his voice still calm but carrying the weight of absolute authority. "Before we proceed, I want to understand something. Do you know who Mr. Martinez is?" Derek shrugged. "Some guy who was in my way." The disrespect was palpable. Robert Martinez, sitting in the gallery, showed no reaction. He sat with the quiet dignity that comes from a lifetime of service and sacrifice. But his fellow veterans in the courtroom were visibly angry. Listen carefully to what happened next. Because Judge Caprio was about to expose Derek's arrogance in the most devastating way possible. Judge Caprio stood up from his bench and walked around to the front. This was rare. This meant something big was about to happen. "Mr. Martinez," Judge Caprio said, looking directly at the elderly veteran, "would you please stand and tell Mr. Cole who you are?" Robert Martinez slowly stood, supporting himself with his good arm. "Your Honor, my name is Robert Martinez. I served in the United States Marine Corps from 1968 to 1971. I did 2 tours in Vietnam. I was awarded the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star for valor. I'm a retired Providence firefighter. I've lived in this city for 50 years. He gestured toward Derek without looking at him. "And 3 days ago, this man assaulted me for no reason other than I asked him to slow down in a public park." The courtroom was absolutely silent. Judge Caprio nodded respectfully to Martinez, who sat back down. "Now, Mr. Cole, do you understand what you just heard? You assaulted a decorated combat veteran, a man who risked his life for this country, a man who spent 30 years running into burning buildings to save people, and you called him some old guy who got in your way." Derek's smirk was starting to fade, but his arrogance hadn't. "Your Honor, I didn't know he was a veteran. How was I supposed to know?" Judge Caprio's response was immediate and devastating. "Mr. Cole, it shouldn't matter if he's a veteran or not. Assault is assault. But the fact that you assaulted an elderly man and showed zero remorse tells me everything I need to know about your character." You could feel the tension escalating, the confrontation building towards something explosive. Derek's lawyer tried to intervene. "Your Honor, my client?" "Your client," Judge Caprio interrupted, "just admitted in open court that he assaulted Mr. Martinez. The security footage confirms it. Multiple witnesses confirm it. The hospital records confirm it. The only question now is whether your client understands the severity of what he's done." Derek's voice became defiant. "Your Honor, I think we both know this case is going to disappear. My father is Police Chief Thomas Cole. He runs this town. One phone call, and this goes away." The courtroom erupted. Gasps, angry murmurs, the sheer audacity of threatening to use his father's position. Nobody was prepared for what happened next. A voice from the back of the courtroom, strong and authoritative, cut through the noise. "No, it won't." Everyone turned. Police Chief Thomas Cole stood up, still in civilian clothes, his face a mixture of shame, anger, and resolve. Derek's face went white. "Dad? What are you doing here?" Chief Cole walked down the aisle, each step deliberate, each step carrying the weight of 35 years of service. When he reached the front, he addressed Judge Caprio directly. "Your Honor, I'm Police Chief Thomas Cole, and I need to make something clear. My son doesn't speak for me. He doesn't represent my department, and he will not use my position to escape justice." The silence that followed lasted 17 seconds. You could hear people breathing, processing what they were witnessing. A father choosing justice over protecting his son. Derek stammered, "Dad, what are you doing? You're supposed to—" "I'm supposed to what?" The chief's voice was harsh. "Protect you from your actions? Enable your behavior? Let you think you're above the law because of who I am?" He turned to Judge Caprio. "Your Honor, I've read the police report. I've seen the security footage. I've visited Mr. Martinez in the hospital." His voice cracked. "My son is guilty, and he needs to face the full consequences of what he's done. Your subscription literally determines if stories like this reach people who need to see fathers choose integrity over protection. Hit subscribe and notification bell right now. We're building an army for accountability." Derek's arrogance finally crumbled. "Dad, please, you can't do this to me." Chief Cole's response broke everyone's heart. "I'm not doing this to you, son. You did this to yourself. You assaulted a decorated veteran. You showed no remorse. You threatened to use my position to escape justice. Every choice was yours." He looked at Robert Martinez. "Mr. Martinez, I'm Thomas Cole, Derek's father. I want you to know that I taught my son better than this. I raised him to respect his elders, to honor veterans, to understand that badge and position mean responsibility, not privilege. He forgot those lessons, and that's partly my fault." Martinez's response showed incredible grace. "Chief Cole, you're not responsible for your adult son's choices." "Maybe not," the chief said, "but I'm responsible for making sure he faces them." Judge Caprio watched this unfold with deep respect. This was the moment that would define everything. "Chief Cole," the judge said, "what you're doing takes tremendous courage." "No, Your Honor. What takes courage is what Mr. Martinez did. Serving 2 tours in Vietnam, running into burning buildings for 30 years, standing up in this courtroom with dignity despite what my son did to him." His voice broke completely. "My son needs to learn what courage and integrity actually look like." Derek was crying now. Real tears. The arrogance completely gone. "Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Telling me won't fix this, son. You need to tell Mr. Martinez. You need to own what you did. And you need to accept whatever punishment Judge Caprio decides. Think about watching a father sacrifice everything to teach his son accountability. The pain, the love, the devastating choice between protection and principle." Judge Caprio addressed the courtroom. "What you're witnessing is extraordinary. Chief Cole could have used his influence to make this go away. Instead, he's choosing justice. He's choosing to honor Mr. Martinez. He's choosing to uphold the law he's worn a badge to enforce for 35 years. That is what integrity looks like." Derek could barely speak through his tears. "Your Honor, I was wrong about everything. I'm so sorry." "That's the first honest thing you've said since you walked into this courtroom," Judge Caprio said. "But sorry isn't enough, Mr. Cole. Actions have consequences." He paused, letting the weight sink in. "Derek Michael Cole, I find you guilty of assault and battery on an elderly person. This is a serious crime made more serious by your complete lack of remorse when you first appeared before me." Derek nodded, accepting his fate. "Here is your sentence. You will serve 90 days in Providence County Correctional Facility. You will complete 200 hours of community service, specifically working with elderly veterans at the VA hospital. You will attend anger management counseling for 1 year, and you will write a formal letter of apology to Mr. Martinez to be read in this courtroom, followed by a face-to-face meeting where you will apologize to him personally." Derek accepted each part. "Yes, Your Honor." "But I'm not finished," Judge Caprio continued. "You will also create a video apology that will be posted on the Providence Police Department's social media accounts, where you will explain what you did, why it was wrong, and what you're doing to make amends. Your father has agreed to this because sunshine is the best disinfectant for arrogance." The sentence was severe but purposeful, every element designed not just to punish, but to transform. Chief Cole spoke up. "Your Honor, I want to add something if I may. Derek will also be moving out of my house. He's 32 years old. He's been living under my roof, under my protection, under my name. That ends today. He needs to learn to stand on his own and understand that privilege is earned, not inherited." Derek looked at his father with devastation. "Dad." "It's time, son," the chief said, his voice breaking. "It's time for you to grow up." Judge Caprio turned to Robert Martinez. "Mr. Martinez, do you have anything you'd like to say?" The 70-year-old veteran stood slowly. "Your Honor, I don't want revenge. I just want this young man to understand that every person he meets deserves respect. Age, rank, position, none of that matters. We're all human beings trying to live our lives with dignity. If he learns that lesson, then this whole experience will have been worth it." The grace in those words silenced the entire courtroom. Here was a man who was assaulted, hospitalized, and disrespected, offering forgiveness and wisdom instead of anger. "Mr. Cole," Judge Caprio said, "you heard Mr. Martinez. A man you assaulted is showing you more grace than you deserve. I suggest you spend your time in custody thinking about that. Thinking about the kind of man you want to be. Court is adjourned." The gavel came down. As officers approached to take Derek into custody, Chief Cole walked over to his son. They stood face to face for a long moment. Then the chief did something that broke everyone's heart. He hugged his son tightly. "I love you," the chief whispered loud enough for nearby people to hear. "But I love you enough to let you face this. You'll get through it. And when you do, you'll be better. You'll be the man I know you can be." Derek sobbed into his father's shoulder. "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry." "I know, son. Now prove it." The officers led Derek away. Chief Cole stood there watching his son disappear through the courtroom doors, tears streaming down his face. This was what real love looked like. Not protection from consequences, but support through them. Judge Caprio approached Chief Cole and extended his hand. The two men shook. "You did the right thing," Judge Caprio said quietly. Chief Cole nodded. "Doesn't make it hurt any less." "No," the judge agreed, "but it makes it worth it." 6 months later, Derek Cole walked out of Providence County Correctional Facility a different man. He'd lost weight, gained humility, and found purpose. His 200 hours at the VA hospital had turned into volunteer work that continued long after his sentence was complete. He apologized to Robert Martinez in a meeting both men described as healing. Martinez became a mentor to Derek, teaching him about service, sacrifice, and the true meaning of strength. Derek's video apology went viral, viewed over 3 million times. Young people across the country saw what accountability looks like. They saw what happens when privilege meets justice. Chief Cole attended every one of Derek's anger management sessions, not because he had to, but because he wanted to support his son's genuine change. Their relationship, broken by that day in court, slowly rebuilt on a foundation of honesty and mutual respect. And Derek Cole, the arrogant man who once said, "My dad runs this town," now works as an advocate for veteran services, using his story to teach others about privilege, accountability, and redemption. You've just heard how one judge and one father changed everything through choosing justice over comfort. But this story represents what happens when people in power refuse to protect criminals just because they're family. Subscribe to spread this vision of accountability. Like this video if you honor our veterans and respect the courage it takes to choose justice. Comment your city below. Share this with someone who needs to see that real love means letting people face their consequences. Judge Frank Caprio's decision didn't just deliver justice. It saved a life, healed a family, and proved that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to protect someone from the consequences they need to face. That's the legacy of Judge Frank Caprio. That's the courage of Chief Thomas Cole. And that's the grace of Robert Martinez. Justice served. Lessons learned. Lives transformed.